looks like one of the strongest hurricanes on record to make landfall in the Caribbean. You can look at that two ways. There's just the central pressure of the storm, which dropped down to around 892 millibars, very, very low. And generally, the lower the central pressure, the more intense the storm is.
Right.
And then there's maximum sustained wind speeds in at 295 kilometers per hour. That matches up with Dorian in 2019, which brought, as we saw, extensive damage to the Bahamas, right?
Certainly, yeah.
So this is the update from the National Hurricane Center. Melissa is moving towards the north. It's a little bit of good news. You have to remember 2019, the Dorian basically sat in the same place over the Bahamas for days on end. There is some movement with this hurricane. It's come down to a Category 4 now that it's moved over land areas of Jamaica, so it's off of those warmer ocean waters. But there's not a lot of land for it to move over, so it is expected to maintain as a Category 4 as it heads towards its second landfall, which will be eastern Cuba tonight. And eastern Cuba is concerned about many of the same weather impacts that Jamaica has experienced, including the potential for destructive winds right and around that landfall point. And then over a wider area, the concerns about flooding and landslides created by the heavy rain, which could total between a few and several hundred millimeters, and storm surge on parts of the coast. Additionally, central parts of the Bahamas are underneath a hurricane warning because after the storm exits Cuba, which will happen on Wednesday, it is expected to pass sort of through that central Bahama area on its way up towards the north. And then at the end of this week, it moves north of Bermuda. Could come pretty close to the island there. And then the remnants of the storm system expected to hold to the east of the land areas, the Maritimes and Atlantic Canada. Now, while the remnants of the storm system pass through the outermost marine areas, it is bringing up a lot of moisture with it. I talked a little bit about this yesterday, but you can see here, this is a model for the available amount of moisture in the atmosphere for rain. And through the warmer colors, the yellows, the oranges and reds, that's a lot of heavy moisture. And of course, as you'd expect, there's a lot of that wrapped up in and around that storm as it moves north of the Bahamas. Now, the thing we need to watch out for on Friday, which of course is Halloween, is that we have this weather front moving in from the west. And that front can sometimes act as a little bit of a conveyor belt, drawing some of that heavy tropical moisture off the remnants of that storm system and up into some of the rain that is expected to come down on Friday. And that'll increase our risk on Friday, especially for the province of Nova Scotia. There could be some periods of heavier rain or downpours with the wet weather as it moves through. Now, for tonight around the Maritime region, we're looking at partly cloudy conditions for Nova Scotia and then some clearing conditions for New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island. Start of the day for tomorrow, we're going to see the return of some cloud cover. It's going to be building in from the south. It is accompanied by a low chance of some showers around the southwestern coastline of Nova Scotia. Wednesday afternoon, a mix of sun and cloud. Temperatures for tonight around the region, lows mostly around the low to mid single digits. So colder than that, where it's going to be a little bit more on the clear side, so much to the northern half of New Brunswick. There are some low temperatures between around -4 and 0. Highs in the north of New Brunswick for tomorrow between 10 and 13 degrees, with central and southern parts of the province with high temperatures in the low teens. Prince Edward Island on Wednesday with high temperatures around 11, 12 degrees for most communities, including 12 for Summerside and Charlottetown. Cape Breton tomorrow with high temperatures of 10 to 13 degrees, between 11 and 13 for eastern areas of Nova Scotia, the North Shore and the Eastern Shore. Northern and central areas of Nova Scotia with high temperatures between 11 and 13. And it's mostly highs in the low teens as well for the Annapolis Valley, South Shore and southwest of the province. In the 7-day forecast for New Brunswick, Friday, Halloween, still rainy and gusty weather expected as that front comes through. That's followed by cloudy periods and cooler temperatures as we move through the weekend. Clocks go back on Sunday. Mix of sun and cloud to start next week and a chance of showers on Tuesday. Now for Nova Scotia in the forecast, it's a mix of sun and cloud on Thursday, but then turning over to some rainy and windy weather moving across the province on Friday. Western parts of Nova Scotia may see most of the rain move through morning and afternoon. Cloudy periods in the forecast for Saturday and Sunday, a mix of sun and cloud for Monday, and a chance of showers after that on Tuesday. And for Prince Edward Island, the forecast, a mix of sun and cloud over the next couple of days, but that round of rainy and windy weather moving through on Friday. That's followed by cloudy periods, cooler temperatures for the weekend, mix of sun and cloud to start next week, and a chance of showers on Tuesday.